I wanted to say this before we got into the video. Guys, we're less than 20 days now to kick off. And old Wreck Man has made some improvements to the studio. I can't wait for the season. Thank you so much to AFTERSWARM for doing this. Let's get to it.
See Dog and Wreck letting people on YouTube know whether UNC defense is about to go up with the white and gold. The future is ours to behold. I don't know, but I've been told Miami's back. We're taking me. Now wait another 20 years. WreckTalk, the greatest of this time. Shouts college, dodging cage fight, scared out of his mind. Marching forward, fighting strong, loud and proud. Jackets forming, kicking ass, hear a shout it loud. To hell with Georgia, we don't give a damn. What's the good work? Piss on them, piss on them. It don't take 7 years of college to learn. Rick is the greatest Georgia Tech fan in the land.
All right. Welcome to WreckTalk today, and we have a very special guest. You guys have heard me talk about AFTERSWARM. All right. These guys know what they're doing. Am I paying you to say any, are you paying me to say any of this? Absolutely not. I see in the back room the predictions they make in recruiting. And I honestly don't think I've seen them be wrong yet. So if you're a Tech fan, you want the inside scoop from someone who actually knows what they're doing, unlike me as it pertains to predicting recruiting. You want to get with these guys. This is Montega Harrison. He's with AFTERSWARM. Tell us about AFTERSWARM. Like, I wasn't even aware this thing existed. Evidently, y'all got started sometime in February. Tell us about AFTERSWARM.
Yeah, so AFTERSWARM started out as a joke, to be perfectly honest. Like, we all know, we all have those Facebook group chats, Twitter group chats, whatever you're using these days. And a few of us in a Twitter group chat, we were joking around and saying that we should start our own site. And it was a joke that had been going for a few months, honestly. And then just one day we decided, like, what if we actually started our own site to cover Georgia Tech, football, and now it's kind of evolved into athletics, and we're looking into covering some more sports. But we are over on Substack right now, so it's just
there'll be a link in the description of the video.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. And so, hey, our whole goal is to be able to give information, but then also give a fan perspective. We're not affiliated with Tech at all, and so we can say what we want to say, and we can be honest, and we can give our opinion. And that's what AFTERSWARM is. It is an opinion based site. And so we're looking at kind of the next phase, kind of still having those Substack articles coming through every week when the season starts, but we're also trying to start our own forum or message board type website that we will do a subscription based kind of deal for that. And so our calling card with AFTERSWARM is that we are going to take all the subscription money that we get every month and donate it straight back into the program. And so we'll go straight back into the Tech way. And so you know that we're not doing this to make money. We're not doing this to line our pockets off of Georgia Tech's name, but we're doing it to give back and throw money back into the football program that we love. And so we'd love for you guys to check us out. We have some articles up right now. We've taken a hiatus after the season to kind of get our ducks in a row and set up with what we want to kind of come out with when the season starts. But I think you'll be happy and excited with what you find. And especially once we get this forum and message board site set up, it's going to be really cool. So check us out.
That's awesome. Well, it has impressed me, which is easy to do in my day-to-day life, not so easy to do as it pertains to Georgia Tech. So if you can impress me as it pertains to Georgia Tech, you've really done something. Link for that's in the description below the video. It's afterswarm.substack.com. If you're a Tech fan, and if you trust anything Rex ever said, then I would check out AFTERSWARM, guys. All right, so today I've brought in some help because admittedly, I don't know everything. That's hard for me to say on the internet, but I don't know everything. So I got some help to preview these DBs. So we're going to look small for a second, but that's because we're about to paint the screen with different things. Now, you know that I do these predictions every year, or these previews. Last year, let's see what I had previewed, or I predicted them at an A-. Now, that was for good reason. LaMiles Brooks, Clayton Lee, Miles Sims. You had a lot of guys with a lot of experience or that had played quite well. And as we've talked about with like running backs, and like you can't look at running back in a vacuum, and you can't look at the secondary in a vacuum either. That's really dependent on what kind of pressure you can get with the defensive line, right? That being said, I think they were actually about a C, but I don't think that really speaks to the talent level in that room. What do you think about that, Harrison?
Yeah, I agree. I think if you just do a quick Google search, which I was doing just to kind of prepare and kind of get some talking points ready, uh, a year ago, almost to the day, an article was posted, and it said that Lindy Sports has ranked Georgia Tech secondary as the ninth best in the country.
For this
The
year?
ninth for the it was for 2023-2024 season.
Okay, so for last year. Okay, so I knew I'm not dummy. Okay,
Which
good.
I was like, I was like, that's kind of surprising. Obviously, if you follow Tech with the talent that we have on the back end of the defense, not really surprising that we're kind of getting some love there. Uh, but to be ranked ninth best in the country, which would put us at the top of the ACC with that ranking, with the secondary that Miami has, which is a pretty solid secondary with Cam Kitchens over the top playing safety, to have that kind of recognition. But like you said,
Yeah.
like Lamar Brooks, Clayton Lee coming over, you had Jalen King coming back from his leg injury. You got Miles Sims ready for a big season. So it was, we really were primed to have an A minus, maybe even an A plus season if the pass rush was where it should have been.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So to kind of justify this, let's look at some stats from last season. So I looked at some 2023 stats. If you just look at pass defense, like how many passing yards did we give up a game? We gave up 215.8, and that 0.8 is important. 215.8 yards per game, 8th in the ACC, 53rd nationally. Now, we've already talked about a lot of that has to do with I think we had 21 sacks last year. 8 of those came in 2 games. So you weren't not only were you not getting sacks, like Nick Saban talks about, sacks aren't the only way to affect the quarterback. Like if he only has a second to throw, that's affecting the quarterback. We weren't doing that either, though. As far as interceptions, we had 14 total. Now this is kind of surprising to me. 3rd in the ACC, 20th nationally. So when they were getting to the ball, they were creating turnovers, which really speaks to, I think, like we were saying earlier, the talent in the room. Now, long pass plays. We did this with the running backs, long run plays, and on the defensive side, long run plays given up. Pass plays of 20 or more, 8th in the ACC, 69th nationally, and pass plays of 30 or more yards, they're actually 3rd in the ACC and 24th nationally. So it's really a mixed bag, which makes sense to me with a lack of pass rush. How do you see that?
Pass rush is where you see those numbers in the top 10 nationally. Top 3 in the conference. You brought up the sack total, with 21 and 8 coming in one game.
2
But what
games.
I think is interesting too, or 2 games, sorry. But what I think is interesting, Kyle Kennard had 6 of those,
Yep.
6 of those 21 sacks, and I believe he got 6 of those in 2 games, and then really didn't do much else the rest of the season. Who's transferred on to South Carolina, and so really without that pass rush, man, from the help from your defensive line and your linebackers, you're really asking your safeties and your cornerbacks to do a lot. And even honestly, not even in the pass rush, but in run support too, you're asking them to do a lot when your run fits aren't where they need to be, and you're blitzing the wrong holes and you're not in the right spot. So a lot of pressure on the back end for sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. I talked about this last year. Clayton Lee was probably your second best linebacker last year. I can't tell you how many games he was like second in tackles. And that's just because we struggled on the defensive line and we weren't cleaning it up with gap, responsibility at linebacker. Effort, we did the linebacker preview released at the time of recording this video. But yeah, Clayton Lee's a beast. Clayton Lee had to play both. I think he's free safety and I guess a weak side linebacker. I don't know what they
Yeah,
call it. We always called it Will when I play. When
dude
I play.
played everywhere, man.
Yeah, and he's a baller. I'll put a link for that in the description below. We interviewed him on the channel before we kicked off last season, which was a really cool interview. So go check that out if you haven't seen it. All right, so let's talk about key losses. So we lose the big ones. Miles Sims, lose him due to graduation. He was a very solid cornerback for you. Made some game-winning plays for you. Ton of experience. Hurts to lose Miles Sim. Jalen King. If you see my other videos where I don't have the green screen, his jersey is behind me in those videos. Number 14, you lose him, free safety to graduation. Kenyatta Watson, the second, another cornerback. He goes to GSU. So now you've got Gibson and do we have more than two at GSU? So we got Watson and Gibson.
I think that's it.
I don't think we have another one over there. Keenan Johnson was, I think, might be the one that hurts the most just because he hits the portal. He goes to Utah. He really played that nickel spot from what I can remember. That's going to be tough for Tech to replace. KJ Wallace goes to UCLA out of the portal. So in total, you lose 2 safeties and 6 cornerbacks. Now, this is why we need Montega on here. There were 2 major things we needed out of the portal this year. Obviously, defensive line. The other one was cornerbacks. What can you speak to that?
No, you're exactly right. Defensive line, obviously, in my opinion, was the biggest need by far, head and shoulders. And I think we hit well on that with Vandenberg over from Penn State. You got, Thomas Gore from Miami. Like, we added some pieces there for sure.
Romello Height.
Second, Romello Height from USC, exactly. But cornerback, defensive back, safety, nickel, whatever you want to call it, was definitely the second where we really needed to hit. And I think we did. I think we got some good talent coming in out of the portal in there.
Well, let's talk about the key additions. So we, first and foremost, I think probably the one that we're most excited about, Warren Burrell. He's a redshirt senior, cornerback out of Tennessee. Heard a lot of good things about him. What have you heard on in the AFTERSWARM about Warren Burrell?
I've heard he's had a really, really good camp, really good summer, and really pushing strong into the fall. Will probably be one that plays a pretty significant amount. He came in from Tennessee, class of 2019, so he's played a ton of football already, and really looking for him to be a leader on that back end, kind of helping out with. Think they're going to play him at nickel a little bit. Might put him up at free safety at times, just kind of depending on the situation. But here's some really good stuff from him from summer camp and getting ready for fall camp as we get ready for FSU.
All right, and then we get another. We're talking about the need we have at cornerback. Saeed Gibbs. This is a kid I totally overlooked because, like Moneyball, people are overlooked for a variety of reasons. I overlooked because he came from Rhode Island. What I didn't know is he's like all whatever level of play that is. What are we getting with Saeed Gibbs? Redshirt sophomore.
Saeed came from Rhode Island. He was named to the he was D1, FBS freshman All-American. And then he was also on the Jerry Rice Award watch list as a freshman. So he's got some hardware coming in to that DB room that I think is needed. He's coming in as a redshirt sophomore, and so he's got some years that we'll be able to get out of him as well, which is what I think we need in that DB room, because you think, probably one of the most important pieces of that DB room is LaMiles Brooks, who will be hopefully going on to the NFL draft at the end of the year. So to have some pieces to kind of fill in those gaps where we need some leadership anyway is going to be really good.
All right. Then we get safety Zachary Toby out of Illinois, and another safety Jaden Davis out of Cincinnati. What can you tell me about those two cats?
I haven't heard a lot On Zach, to be honest, I know with Jaden Davis, I know they were excited for him to come in from Cincinnati. Obviously transfer as I think he'll be a sophomore coming in this year. Really excited about him. Excited about his speed that he has. I've heard he's got some pretty decent wheels on him, and so they're excited. One, like I said, to get some youth into that DB room, knowing that we're going to lose a couple of those guys on the back end after this season. So I think that was while we needed some talent, I think the priority was young talent over veteran talent. Got Warren Burrell. You need that veteran leadership, but I think the DB room really needed an influx of youth as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Let's talk about those returning starters, by the way. We've already talked about one, Clayton Lee, and it surprised me when I saw this, but the guy's a junior already, played a lot of ball. It seems like yesterday he was a freshman out of Westlake. The guy's just played his mind off. We were talking some before, we started recording this that, he was really your second best linebacker as well, too, last season. There was probably 3 or 4 different games he was your second leading tackler. Just a very surefire free safety for you. We bring back Lamiles Brooks.
I would say this. I think he might have been the best linebacker on the team. I think he might have been the second best defensive player on the team as well, behind Keon White. Just my opinion.
Yeah. So Keon White. Yeah. I think you're right.
Knowing, hey, he is a true freshman being thrown into, the back end of a defense that needs some help, needs like some life and quickly. Knowing the lack of success our team has had over those last few years before he got there, to be thrown into the fire like that and perform the way that he did, I think he might have been second best.
Okay, so you're saying like he's probably like the second best player we've had in the past few years. Keon White was year before, right? That's why we're struggling on the defensive line. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Amari Harvey. I don't know if you played NCAA 25, but the dude's
insane.
The dude's a menace. I won an overtime game pick 6 off of his 3rd pick of the game. So I'm expecting big things out of him. Does he play that nickel as well? The whole nickel versus cornerback versus safety thing kind of confuses me. What can you tell us about Harvey?
I think he is primed to have a breakout season. I know, like, to be a veteran upperclassman and hearing the word breakout season isn't really something that you want to hear necessarily. But I think his performance this past season really showed up in some big moments. He was the one that laid that hit on Tez Walker from North Carolina, forced a fumble to kind of seal the game there. Really stepped up big against UCF and got some big key stops and some moments to win that bowl game. So I think he has an opportunity to step up as not only as a leader in the cornerback room or nickel, wherever they put him, but in the defense as a whole, to be a leader on that backside along with Clayton Lee, Lamiles Brooks, the likes of those guys. So I think he's primed to have a good season. It just matters if he's able to put it together and stay healthy.
Yeah, and I kind of skipped over Lamiles Brooks, but Lamiles Brooks, I think he was on the preseason All-ACC last year. I think he had some maybe injury issues, lingering injury issues last year, but he's one of the best safeties in the ACC. You have 2 starting safeties here returning that could be one of the best rooms in the conference.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with some of these guys you've brought in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Lamiles, you think he played virtually the entire season with a shoulder injury. If you watch the game, I think he hurt his shoulder in the South Carolina State game is when he got hurt. And then every game, after maybe every couple tackles, you could see him holding that shoulder or kind of dropping it down a little bit.
Yeah.
They asked him, like, hey, I know I talked to his dad about it. He asked him to take, hey, like, if you get an opportunity to take some rest, take it. And obviously, Lamiles is a fighter and didn't really want to. So I think if he's healthy, from what I hear, he's got that shoulder taken care of and he's back 100%. And so this will be really not the first time, but the first time in a while that we will be able to see a fully healthy Lamiles Brooks as a senior veteran, probably captain of that defense, to really see him step out and do some good stuff alongside Clayton Lee.
Totally agree. I mean, Lamiles Brooks, if he plays to his potential this year and stays healthy, you could see him go in the first 2 rounds next year. And Clayton Lee, in my opinion, is someone who's going to play on Sundays for a very long time. I'm that high on Clayton Lee. Now, we also on the cornerback side bring back Rodney Shelley, guy that's got a lot of experience for you. And I'll just roll down the last 3 here. Omar Daniels, I know he's played that nickel position, or I think he started toward the end of the year. And then Tay Seymour as a sophomore at strong safety. So you're bringing back a lot. You're filling in the portal what you've lost at cornerback. Just overall, as far as this room, how do you feel about it?
After listening to names and really kind of getting to dive into stats and dive into what we're hearing from press conferences and media evals and everything, I feel really good. I think, and honestly, I don't feel like the DB room was ever really an issue.
Right.
I think it was more so the defensive line not being able to generate pressure, because it's a difference when you're covering for your secondary is going to look different when you're covering for 3 seconds versus 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, you're covering for 8 seconds, somebody's going to find a way to get open at some point. It's going to happen. There's going to be breakdowns in communication when you're not generating that pass rush, or you're not filling in those gaps on the run plays. And so I think with one thing that plagued us as well is getting calls in late. And so a lot of times you see Lamiles Brooks looking over to the sideline, yelling at the sideline, trying to run around and get everybody in position and get set, which also affects the secondary's ability to cover on the back end. So if we clean up all of those things, in which it seems like I've seen that Tyler Santucci is way more organized than Georgia Tech's defense has seen in a while. Jess Simpson is doing a great job. Kyle Pope is doing a great job. Corey Peoples is doing a great job. Ricky Brumfield is doing a great job. If all those guys are on the same page and in sync with the defense as a whole, the secondary has an opportunity to be one of the top secondaries in the ACC, if not the country.
Wow. Yeah, and look, I agree with that. I mean, like you said, when you look through these names, it's like, man, we could be really good. So let's talk about how good. Let me bump this off the screen. As far as, so I predicted them last year to be an A-. I think they ended up being a C. What would you predict them to be this year, Montega?
Ooh, that's tough. I tend to be the more optimist in our group, for sure. But I would say I think they could be good, but I also want to be realistic with the idea of, like, hey, we're learning a new defense, new coaching staff, new schemes, new techniques, new ways of doing things. I would say with a healthy Lamiles Brooks, you got the additions in the portal. I think a B+ is what I'm looking for. I think if they achieve a B+, I think if they're a B+, I think we win 8 games. And I think that's kind of the standard that we need to set.
Yeah, look, there's not been many people that are more pessimistic on Tech's defense than me. My whole thing has been like, I'm gonna have to see it. I can't set myself up for what I went through last year. I am high on this secondary room, though. I'm really high on it. I'm doubling down on last year. I think they're an A-. We're hearing a lot of good things behind the scenes about the defensive line. A lot of people are reporting on that. If you have an improved front 6, which it's got to be improved. Like, there's no way I think you could be as bad or worse than last year. You have an entirely new defensive staff. You talked about how Santucci is well more organized. We talked about getting plays in late. I just think everything lines up for this secondary room to have a great year. So it seems like we're pretty close. B+ or A-, I think, wins us a lot of football games. And, we as Tech fans are hungry for for an improvement on last year and to really step into the national spotlight. With a 12-team playoff, you know, if you have a really good year, especially on this schedule, and I'm told strength of schedule by the SEC and Big Ten commissioners is oh so important, Tech could definitely back in the way into the playoffs. You win 9 games on this schedule.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, I think you win 9. I think that puts us squarely in position to play in Charlotte for sure.
Yeah.
If you think this past year we won 7 with the bowl, if we don't collapse against Louisville in the second half and we take care of business against Boston College, we're playing for an ACC championship. And so I think 9 games is what it takes. I don't think Clemson is going to be what Clemson has been in the past. I think FSU takes a step back. I think Louisville takes a step back. I think we have a really, really good shot, but it all hangs on that defense. If the defense is top 60, even maybe top 70, I think we could do it.
Yeah, and the other thing is if you win 8 or 9 games on the schedule, you play 5 of the top 6 teams in the conference. So you would be you'd have the tie break with most every team except for Clemson. So look, I'm excited.
I'm in a ranking. Like we had been ranked in 6 years. So like that'll be cool to have a number beside our name on game days.
For sure. Well, Montega, thank you so much for coming in. Guys, go check out AFTERSWARM. Again, links in the description. They're doing great things. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Letting people on YouTube know where the UNC defense is about to go. Up with the white and gold, the future is ours to behold. I don't know, but I've been told Miami's back well. Take a knee and I'll wait another 20 years. WreckTalk, the greatest offensive mind. Jeff Collins dodging cage fights, scared out of his mind. Marching forward, fighting strong, loud and proud. Jacket swarming, kicking ass, there is shouted loud. To hell with Georgia, we don't give a damn. What's the good word?